and focus on managing your business. Do you want to recruit property management team members with ease? The PPM system takes the thinking out of the process, allowing you to recruit team members with limited experience. The PPM system is revolutionizing property management departments across the nation. We can assist in fine-tuning your current systems.
Good morning, property management team members, and a big welcome to today's live tutorial where my focus is going to be on the human resource management module of the PPM system. You're currently listening to Debbie Palmer, Managing Director of the PPM Group. Now, we've got quite a few members joining us today, a couple who have recently embraced the system, so they're joining us for the very first time. So just a quick review of the delivery of the tutorial. So you're going to be able to hear my voice. You will be able to see the my computer screen, but during the training delivery, we will not be able to interact with any questions. Now, if you have webcam access, I have just popped in quickly to say a good morning and hello. I'm not going to have that up all during the tutorial because it slows down our internet connection. But this tutorial is a fairly basic, straightforward, goes for about half an hour, where I'm just going to review each of, I guess, the documents, the checklists, and explain how they integrate with each other. So I'm going to minimize the webcam and let's get started by going to the launch panel of the PPM system. So hopefully listening today on your computer screen, you have the launch panel down the bottom right-hand corner. The one that we're focusing on today is human resource management. Now, when the system was installed into your office, it was noted that this should have permissions on the folder. And what that means is to have security. It takes your IT people about 30 seconds to a minute to do. Obviously, there's sensitive information on team members within there that you don't want all of them accessing. So what you need to ensure that only the person that oversees the team, whether that's the principal or the PA to the principal or the department manager, and to do that, you just right-click on the folder, you go to Properties, the second tab at the top of the pop-out box is Security, and you just need to edit and change that security from everyone to the person that you want to access the folder. Once you have that permission on the folder, if anyone hovers over it, it will just say that that folder is empty. Okay, I'm going to double click on this folder, and if you double click, it just opens it up into an individual screen. And as I said, I'm just going to step through each of the folders explaining all of the content that's in there. So the first one, which is employee job descriptions. Now, remember, with all of the documents within the PPM system, you can go in and tweak, modify, or customize them. So these job descriptions are just so each team member has a clear expectation of what their role involves. Now, these job descriptions have been set up for a team environment. It also lists some personality attributes. This can be helpful when advertising the role, but if you're working to a portfolio, you would have to probably group, let's go to the department manager, you would have to group all of the activities together. So I think that folder is fairly straightforward. Now, the next one is just, and you might have it saved somewhere else on your computer, but this is just to centralize everything to one location, which is where you would have all your employee photos. So your property management photos and your sales team photos if you have a sales department. Any team members that are no longer with your agency anymore, you can archive those folders away. The next one, in some states, it is legislated that you must have an employee register. Now, I have set this up once again for the property management department and the sales department. But if I click here, this is a template of the folders. And it's just, I guess, sorting all the information so it can be easily accessed. So each team member should be in there, and how you do that, so you're not creating a new folder, you would copy the template, you would paste the template, and then you would put the team member's name in. Then you've got the employment agreement, the checklist that was completed, any forms that have been issued, general information, and any letters that have been issued. So employment register, very straightforward. The next one is your employment authority. Now, this is probably one of the most detailed authorities that are in accordance with the 10 modern standards. Sensitive information, you don't want people going in and making modifications to the agreement, so it is password protected. At this point, your password will be lowercase ppm if you want to make a note of that. But you can go in and make modifications and change that password. So the employment agreement is very straightforward. I would suggest that you print that out and have a good read of it, the same as all staff members should have read the management agreement and the tenancy agreement. But the first part is just the national standardised schedule, any special conditions, and then it goes into the terms and conditions. And this is where it focuses on the specific responsibilities. So here you can see it's got reception, rent collection, documentation and records. It is a really clear outline of expectations and obligations of the team member. Now, if the particular person is not responsible, say, for arrears management, you can either delete that section or put a cross through it. All the way down to internal codes, and it covers everything: dress code, behaviour code, offensive behaviour code, social media, internet, personal telephone calls, etc. Now, if you were to make any modifications after the agreement was entered into, you don't have to do this, it can be a letter, but we've just put a document in which is a variation to the property management agreement. And that's where you just list any of the changes in there. And the employment authority actually outlines that there can be variations as long as it's in writing. So once again, I think that is fairly straightforward. The next one will be different from state to state, and I know that there's been a lot of changes to the awards, but that's just your awards for the industry. Once again, checklists are exactly the same as the day-to-day property management checklist. They've got hyperlinks and it steps you through the process. So if you're about to recruit a team member, it just will link to employment ads, questions to ask in the interview, and then it's the finalisation process. So once again, I'm not going to go through step by step because it is very straightforward, but it's making sure that you dot your I's and cross your T's when you employ a new team member. Termination covers resignation or termination. And once again, it's first thing, they might be issued a formal warning, whether you need to give them a separation certificate, a confirmation of their resignation, and the internal processes that you would need to do. Cancel any scheduled wage payments, request the uniform to be dry cleaned, etc. Now, the next one is interesting and was a member request because they were having issues when team members were going on annual leave. So we sat down and we came up with an annual leave checklist, which surprisingly has quite a few tasks. So just be mindful that that's within the system as well. Okay, the next one is your forms. And I'm going to open up each of these because I know they're straightforward, but you get really busy, I guess, working in property management that you may not take the time out to look at each of the forms. So the first one is your recruitment application, and it's a little mini recruitment system. So they come in for an interview, you would hand this to them at the front reception, and as I said, very similar to a recruitment agency. You can make any modifications. It has a little quiz just to make sure that they know the legislation, how to prioritise, what their spelling's like. Now, if you're going, well, I don't really know which is the correct spelling or what is the answer, we've got an answer sheet as well. I did want to explain, so number 10 is just highlighting whether they can prioritise. And number 11, by what they choose is, as a sport, is whether they're a team player or whether they like working on their own. So if they've circled tennis, sailing, and horse riding, in comparison to basketball, netball, or softball. And there's no right or wrong. It's just to understand, I guess, how they work. Now, you've got your answers there and an explanation. Okay, the next one, and interviews with property management team members, I believe, shouldn't be overly formalised. And in an interview, some business owners or the person conducting the interview can spend a lot of time talking about the agency, what they're looking for, and not really allow the candidate to do the talking. You should focus on 80% of the candidate talking and 20% of you talking. And these questions are just a guide. So you've got your general questions, and then you've got senior management position questions. So you might just choose 3 of those to ask, or you might want to give it to them at the front reception for them to write their answers down. These are all just templates and thought-provoking ideas. The next one is your recruitment quiz on legislation. So to make sure that they do understand the processes within property management. Okay, then this is a link on the employment agreement checklist. Sorry, not the employment agreement, the recruiting checklist. And this is just the candidate or the successful person would complete this, welcoming them aboard, and then getting all of their personal information. Finding out what are some of their favourite things and what motivates them that can help you around special occasions. They might say that their favourite cake type is pavlova. So instead of getting them a chocolate cake, you might get them a pavlova. And then you've just got some fun facts as well. Often some of our members include that in their end of month newsletter or on their website. Employee register. So as I said, in some states, this is legislated where you just need to have their license number, their tax file number, and all of the basic details. Leave request form. Now this covers all types of leave, whether it is holiday, personal sick leave, bereavement, family, or long service. The team member would complete the top section, that's their request, and then the bottom section is a checklist to process that leave request. Formal warning. Members do like this because sometimes they feel overwhelmed confronting the team member and giving them a formal warning. So what a lot of members do is say, this is part of the PPM system process. We've undertaken the counselling, this is the outcome, and I need you to sign this document. Very important, if there are formal warnings or you're concerned about their performance, that you do get it in writing with their signature to protect you from any industrial dispute complaints. Staff performance review, whether you do those every 3 or 6 months, is just a guide. They can complete it. And performance reviews are a two-way process. You giving them feedback and them giving you feedback. Now, this, once again, was just taken from an example of a recruiting company where they can do a self-evaluation to know what skills they need to improve in. And then the team will do an evaluation on them. Now, where this can be very beneficial to larger organisations, you might have a team member that has poor negotiating skills, but another team member that has outstanding negotiating skills. So I would team them up as buddies to help improve those skills within the team members that you have. I promise statement. This is an interesting one because we had members saying, well, we're having this situation reoccur. They're not using the time out board, or they're not putting away their coffee cup. And it's just something little that doesn't warrant a formal warning. So we introduced the I promise statement. And it says, I understand that I am an important part of the property management team, and what I do or don't do has an impact on profitability, productivity, and the time management of the department. I promise to adhere to and carry out the following to ensure that the department is running to its optimum capabilities: to empty my bin, to use the time board. If I fail to follow through on my promise statement, I will make coffee or tea for the entire team for a week. And can you see where it's a little lighthearted, but it still gets them to improve on that bad habit? Destiny statement is part of increasing the internal morale and focus of your team. And this is what they would do when they start with the agency. And what they would do is list the things that are important to them and what they want to achieve in their lifetime. And what a lot of members do is they have what is called a law of attraction board, or a motivating board, or a wall within the office where they're all displayed. And it's just a refresher, a reminder. It would go alongside their annual goals as well. Productivity incentive, members requested, okay, I want to motivate the team and I want to have incentives in place. So this productivity incentive structure is based on the following performance that you can obviously modify. Now, if you achieve that, and it's up to you, it could be they get a dollar value bonus, it could be a fun event, it could be taking half a day off. But once again, these are just templates that can assist. Also, you need to have an employee complaint form. In your employment agreement, it says if an employee is dissatisfied with anything that's happening within the agency, they must complete the employee complaint and dispute notice so it's in writing. And it also explains what you will do to action that complaint. And once again, this is to protect you in times of litigation. Daily focus sheet is for agents that had team members that were struggling with their time management. And I guess it's a little bit like what accountants and lawyers have to do, where they have to track and monitor every 15 minutes. Some members use this religiously every single day. Others use it for a 2-week period You can make modifications to the form. It's a little bit like a task to-do list and a focus on what they're actually doing with their day. Okay, the last three I'm not going to open. They're just what the employee needs to complete when you recruit them. So it's your choice of super fund form, a separation certificate at the end if they request it, and the tax file declaration form. Now, all of those documents link from the checklist. And in closing, we have just got a couple of standard employment letters that you can build upon. The position has been filled, confirmation of employment, confirmation of wage increase, termination of employment, or confirmation of resignation. So just remember, as a PPM system member, we're here to support and assist you. No question is too big or too small. Email us or call us. We want to hear from members. You are not an interruption, but an important part of our business. Also remember to be connected with our social media, Debbie Palmer page, PPM group. Property management chat room is a really important one where I post all legislation updates and changes. And then the PPM system chat room is more just a reminder of the training. So that was a quick tutorial today. A big thank you for your time and have an awesome week.
Important to us, and one of our team members will be with you shortly. Is your property management department reaching its full